Hello, welcome to Cosmic Pill Tao, wherever and whenever you are. You can call me CPD or Cosmic for short. Okay, get comfortable and let's dive right into it. Chapters 20 and 21 of the Daodejing are often misunderstood, particularly by modern readers. At first glance, they seem paradoxical, self-effacing, even contradictory. But within their tension lies a profound insight, one that reveals not only the elusive nature of the Tao, but also a haunting irony that echoes through another great tradition, Christianity. Let's begin with a moment of confusion. I am like a fool. My mind is in chaos. The Daodejing, Chapter 20. To the untrained eye, this appears to contradict the Taoist ideal of calm clarity. But on closer inspection, it is the very presence of the Tao, its impossible standard, that reveals the chaos of a mind. The clearer the mirror, the more visible the dust. Chapter 21 offers a subtle continuation. The greatest virtue you can have comes from following the Tao, which takes a form that is intangible and evasive. The closer one moves toward the Tao, the more one sees the limits of conceptual knowledge. No matter how long one practices, how sharp one's perceptions become, or how transformed one's mind feels, the Tao stays just out of reach. It is not failure. It is realization. Okay, here's an interesting point. Chapter 20 also introduces a compelling social contrast. I am different from ordinary people. I nurse from the great mother's breast. The normies, to use a modern expression, are not necessarily wrong or immoral. They're simply immersed in worldliness. They have goals, knowledge, wit, and clarity. They seem put together. Yet the Taoist appears dull, slow, confused, like a fool. But that is precisely the point. The sage has unlearned the illusions of success and clarity that drive the world. From the worldly perspective, the Taoist is the divergent one. But from the Taoist perspective, the worldly life is an endless hall of mirrors, a maze of knowledge that generates good and evil, praise and blame, ambition and anxiety. What is the difference between good and evil? The Daodejing, Chapter 20. The moment you ask this question, not rhetorically, but existentially, you begin to see the dream. Good and evil, like all dualities, are born from the mind's conceptual hunger. And that hunger is the real disorientation. Okay, so there's a striking parallel here with the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is not just a test of obedience. It is an allegory. The fruit is not literal. It is knowledge, dualistic judgment, the compulsion to name and divide. They eat, they see, they judge, they fall. This is the spiritual fall from the Tao. And what follows is not merely punishment, but a deeper message. That knowledge, which promises wisdom, inevitably leads to separation. Even the most useful flame creates smoke. The birth of good automatically gives rise to evil. One cannot exist without the other. In this view, the Tao and Genesis are not at odds. They describe the same condition from different symbolic angles. To be born into sin is not a moral accusation. It is a recognition of the confusion caused by knowledge and worldliness. Now, at this point, another framework emerges. What if only through Jesus could be substituted with only through the Tao? Jesus, the way, the truth, the life. Tao, the way that cannot be named. Jesus, the portal to the kingdom of heaven. Tao, the door to harmony with the cosmos. Jesus, surrender, presence, return. Tao, stillness, emptiness, return. If you read Jesus as a spiritual structure, which many Christians do anyway, vis-a-vis only through Jesus, the similarities are overwhelming. The kingdom of God is within you. You must die to self. You must be reborn. These are not uniquely Christian insights. They are universal metaphysical truths, clothed in the cultural language of the time. But Christianity, especially in its historical and institutional forms, has largely resisted this interoperability. Instead, it became rigid, doctrinal, and ideological. It took the fruit of the tree of knowledge and became worldly and ironic. The irony is this. Christianity warns against knowledge, Genesis, preaches humility and inner surrender, Jesus, yet has historically manifested as a system of judgment, hierarchy, violence, and control. This is not to say all Christians are guilty of this contradiction. Some live lives of sincere devotion, love, and inclusiveness without the illusion of separation. But the historical structure of Christianity became a case study in the very fall it was trying to explain. So how do we move forward? How do we preserve the richness of symbolic traditions without falling back into literalism, narrow exclusivity, and false ownership? This is where the symbol of the quadrifoil is so powerful. For petals, for directions. At the center, a point of convergence. A shape found in church windows, Taoist art, mandalas. Light passes through the stained glass, not because of the image, but despite it. The colors and patterns carry the light, but do not define it. In this way, Jesus is a window. So is Lao Tzu. And spiritually, they direct us to the unity of the portal. The Tao is infinitely translatable. It is not owned by any culture. It is not dependent on a name. It lives through symbolic grammar of a spiritual reality, not literal vocabulary. The quadrifoil, with its four symmetrical lobes, represents the four cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. Each petal points to a distinct path or tradition, reminding us that there are many roads in life, many cultures, many stories. Yet at the very center, where all lines intersect, lies the portal, the point of unity, stillness, and return, the necessary point of passage for all. In sacred architecture, the quadrifoil is often found in cathedral windows, not merely as ornament, but as symbolic structure of an underlying reality that unites us all. Life in the heavens, the sun, the cosmos, the Tao, passes through these stained forms. What results is not distortion, but transformation. The light shines through the symbol, not from it, pointing us back to the source that calls all beings home. This is the cosmic invitation. All roads bend toward the center. The light is always there, waiting. The portal never closes. We only need to answer the call. Renounce knowledge, and your problems will end. The Daodejing, Chapter 20. This is not a call for ignorance. It is a call for clearing, for making space in the vessel so the Tao can flow. Knowledge, especially conceptual, egoic knowledge, produces smoke. Even Dharma, right action, produces karma. This is the logic behind the yin-yang symbol. Each extreme contains its opposite. Good contains the seed of harm. Righteousness contains the seed of pride. Thus, the Taoist path is not about moral purity or success. It is about gentle return. Speak, then fall silent. Act, then release. Teach, then forget. Help others find the portal, then walk away. This is the practice of the uncarved block. The Tao does not cling. The sage moves without trace. Hang in there. Here's the final reflection. When we reframe Jesus and the Tao as spiritual analogs, we don't diminish either. Instead, we restore both. The core message of surrender, humility, and return lies beneath all enduring traditions. What we need is not more ideology, but more interoperability, a willingness to translate symbols across cultures. If we can do that, then the chaos of the mind in Chapter 20 is no longer a problem. It's a threshold. And beyond that threshold is not another system of knowledge, but the silence of the Tao. Even though the Tao is intangible and evasive, we are able to know it exists. The Daodejing, Chapter 21. Okay, that's it. If you made it this far, you're a legend. Just a reminder to subscribe, like, and comment, and check out the Substack and next links. Until next time, remember we're all in this together. We're cosmic pilled and dedicated to the path of the Tao. See ya.